All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Josiah Bardwell. I'm a medical student at Creighton University School of Medicine, and today we're going to just talk about an herbal supplement called Kratom, so titled Opioid Loophole, Dangerous Herbal Supplement in the Midst of an Opioid Crisis. Kratom is a traditional medicinal plant native to Southeast Asia. It serves as an herbal supplement that has, it's basically an opioid mimic, and so it has it acts on opioid receptors to induce analgesic, sedative, and hypnotic effects. It's grown in popularity, especially in recent years, due to these effects and given the restrictions on opioids. It's often touted as a safer, more natural way to mitigate chronic pain. And so, for our case in particular, we have a 46-year-old man who, following back injury 7 or 8 years ago, was prescribed opioids, and in an attempt to decrease his use of opioids, he began drinking Kratom tea several times a day. I think he was saying 3-4 times a day, like in the morning, throughout the day, and at night as well. Which had been ongoing for about 5 years prior to his presentation. On presentation, he had slurred speech, hypophonia, which was bordering on aphasia, very hard to make out any words he was saying. He also had right-handed weakness. By reaching out to collateral, we were able to find out that he had not eaten in the last 3 days due to a GI-related illness with associated vomiting, and thus had been unable to take his Kratom tea as well for the last 3 days. Given his neurologic presentation, code stroke was called, MRI ruled out stroke. Labs were unremarkable aside from hyponatremia to 125, and then CSF studies were normal as well, and his vitals remained stable throughout his time in the ED and throughout admission. So he was admitted, and his sodium levels and mental status improved gradually day by day as he received pretty much just IV fluids. On the day of his discharge 5 days later, his sodium had improved from 125 to 137. He was able to carry out full-length conversations with us, and he had normal mentation and resolution of his right-handed weakness. It was only at that point that he admitted that he had been a chronic user of Kratom for several years and had last consumed Kratom tea 3 days before his admission. He even brought us his exact container of Kratom because he was trying to figure out, get to the bottom of it, see what had been going on with him as well. So this picture, figure 2 here, is actually a picture of the exact bottle of Kratom that he had used. And so you can see on there, not deemed fit for human consumption by the FDA, like a lot of these herbal supplements. So aside from his hyponatremia, we were unable to determine a clear medical cause for his presentation, and given that his symptoms resolved as his sodium levels improved, it's possible that his hyponatremia played a role in his presentation. And although his acute GI illness with vomiting likely influenced his hyponatremic state, it's also possible that Kratom withdrawal played a role in his atypical presentation, as Kratom withdrawal has been associated with GI upset, muscle spasms, fever, and increased pain similar to the effects of opioid withdrawal, which is interesting because it's often touted as basically an opioid mimic that doesn't have withdrawal, but there's actually papers stating that it does. In terms of clinical impact, we're primarily presenting this case as a reminder to physicians to perform a thorough herbal supplement and over-the-counter history, especially in the context of the current opioid crisis. Kratom use has been increasing, as we can see from figure 1 here. And so, as you can see, this is just calls into poison control. So back in 2010, 2011, less than 50, but as you can see, just on the up and up through 2015, to quite a bit more than that. We weren't able to get more recent data on this, but I think it's safe to assume with the continuance of the opioid crisis as well as increasing restrictions on the prescription of opioids, that Kratom use has at least stayed the same, if not been increasing from 2015, as we can see in the graph. Let's see. In conclusion, we just wanted to present this atypical case of hyponatremia-associated Kratom withdrawal with neurologic deficits to increase awareness of opioid-mimicking supplements like Kratom, and particularly to emphasize the importance of a thorough supplement history. Thank you.